Hi guys, something that has somewhat been missed during the Gary Lineker affair is the actual policy that the Tories are pushing at the moment. Now, the dogs in the street know that Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman's Stop the Boats bill doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. But as always, it's important to listen to the experts and not the politicians on issues like this and others. So here Chris Daw KC explained in simple terms why this policy is unlawful. Have a listen.
With regard to the legality of what the government is proposing, Suella Braverman appeared on Sky News this morning saying that it is legal, but in black and white on that legislation proposal, and what she told MPs is that it's 50-50. It's so confusing. What's your take on it?
It's completely unlawful in international law, and I can break it down for you in very straightforward terms. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was passed in 1948 after the Second World War. It specifically provides that nations must allow refugees or asylum seekers to apply for asylum. That was followed up by the 1951 UN Convention on Refugees, which specifically states the following. Asylum seekers are not required to apply in the first country that they reach. They are entitled to apply in any country which is a signatory to the convention, and they are not required to arrive in that country by lawful or regular means. There is specific provision that asylum seekers are entitled to arrive by irregular means without documentation, because if you use any form of common sense, you'll realize that any genuine refugee is unlikely to have proper documentation, and therefore it's highly improbable that they will have any lawful route to apply to arrive in a country and then apply for asylum. They are, as I say, governed by, we're governed by the European Convention of Human Rights, which provides that anybody in the United Kingdom is protected by due process of law, cannot be imprisoned without a fair trial or any legal process. And I'm afraid this legislation breaks every single one of those fundamental pieces of human rights legislation.
And there you have it. Breaks every piece of fundamental human rights legislation. Now, he raised a number of points here which are interesting to say the least. So the UK, of course, has signed up to UN conventions, as we've mentioned before. If the UK were to... Now, the Gammons, of course, would like the UK to leave these UN conventions and the European Court of Human Rights. But as we know, that if the UK were to leave that, the EU would say, well, actually, this is part of the TCA, remember, the thing that you signed up to. And if you were to break that, well, then there would be sanctions, probably in the way of tariffs. So there would be tariffs on trade. It would damage the UK. And of course, leaving the UN conventions would be extremely damaging to the UK on the world stage. This is not what Rishi Sunak wants to do. So he's attempting, of course, once again, to keep the racists and bigots happy. And this is something also I want to touch on that he mentioned in this report here about how, you know, people turning up without documentation. Yes, if you're claiming asylum, you generally won't have documentation with you. If you're arriving via safe routes, you'll generally have some documentation with you. How is this? You know, you hear people like Farage who will say these people destroy their documents before they arrive in the UK. In many cases, people are not allowed to leave the country. They're not allowed to take their passport with them. They have their passport taken off them by the police, by the security services in that country. So they're not allowed to leave. So that's why they arrive via so-called illegal routes. Because they can't take the legal ones, because their documents have been confiscated in some cases. But the experts are saying this is not legal, this bill that Suella Braverman and Rishi Sunak are trying to push through Parliament. But at the end of the day, they don't care about that. And this is not designed to actually stop the boats. This is designed to throw red meat to the racists and bigots within the Conservative Party, the fringe of the party, and those voters who are considering joining more extreme parties. It's an attempt to win these people back, to wean them off Reform or UKIP or whatever. And it's all the Conservatives have left. They can't run on the next election, at the next election, run on their previous policies, on what they've actually done. What have they done to the NHS? Brought it to its knees. What have they done to the economy? Brought it to its knees. Education, infrastructure, transport. You name the issue, the Tories are a disaster on it. So this is what they believe is their trump card. Pull it out. Immigration. Yeah, we deliver fear and loathing, and that will convince enough people to vote for us. I don't think it'll work this time. People are concerned about the cost of living crisis. They're concerned about the NHS. They're concerned about their jobs being taken away. They're concerned about a whole range of things, but immigration is not one of them. But some people within the Conservative Party believe that it is, that it's enough to get them over the line. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.